All right. Y'all know what y'all know what the stupid shit is. What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Saturday Night Tech Fights. Those of you that have been in the chat already, getting it on and popping, I appreciate it. Shout out to Mikey Tech Review for the $2 super chat. $2 make you holler. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight you are here on this quarantine night to see a battle about cameras. Now, the guys that I got fighting tonight, there's some heavyweights. There's some juggernauts. And I could have asked them some questions that would have made a lot of y'all go back to where you was during your quarantine, which is probably the living room or back to your bedroom. But I keep it a little simple. We're going to keep it a little smooth and a little fun tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and bring everybody in. First off, I'm going to bring in the undefeated champ of Saturday Night Tech Fights. This man has not lost a battle yet. He's defeated Scott Peachy. He's defeated... God, I can't remember the last person he beat up. He done beat up on so many people. You might not recognize him because quarantine got us all looking a little rough. That's why I got my wig on tight tonight. But I'm bringing in my man, the lover of tech.
Yes.
Ben, how you doing? How you doing?
Yes. I'm from the future. It's already the next day for me. So
hey,
obviously, since I could tell,
you go with that future talk.
You already know what's going to happen, man. Thanks for having me again.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. So now, guys, I got to bring in the man that's here to dethrone him. The man that's here to take him down. This man has a YouTube channel. You guys know him as Shawn Be Nice. He also has a company called Brooks Media, one of the dopest individuals you'll see when it comes to the camera game. Follow him on Twitter and make sure you subscribe to him on his YouTube channel as well. Shawn Be Nice.
Oh, boy, that was that swing in the morning intro. I like that, boy. Hey, you went crazy.
Hey,
I was smiling before I got in.
Look, I'm trying. You see me.
Hey, boy, listen. What's cracking, y'all? Just let y'all know, man, like you said, Brooks me in the building. I'm about to whoop in ass. Straight like we in.
Bringing in my judges. So we got all of my judges coming in tonight. Now, first judge I got coming in, you guys know, y'all know her face. She's been on all of the streams so far. And the stream wouldn't be the same without her smartassery and her pettiness, which is why she's always a good judge. Ladies and gentlemen, Adrienne Elle, maxed up.
Hello. So y'all not gonna speak? Y'all not gonna speak back? I'm the deciding vote.
Hey, my bad. Hey, what up, folks? We in here.
What's good, Judge?
Brr, my bad.
Judge Elle.
So, I got my next man coming up. You guys have seen him on the stream. He's been a judge multiple times. He's got his own channel, The Technically T, the man about cases. He's got another channel that's all about cameras as well. So we got the man Technically T with Baby Weston with the do-rag on. There he is.
Start them early. Look at you. Start them early.
Look at just like his daddy, boy.
That's hilarious, Joe.
And I got a special guest judge tonight. Now, he has not been on the stream before, but he is also, I would consider someone that I think would know a little bit about cameras. He's got a nice YouTube channel called The Original Dobo. He also does a lot with drone work. You guys may have seen him on the Twitter streets. You may be subscribed to him already, but I'm going to bring the man in, The Original Dobo. There it is.
Oh, we live.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you being here, sir.
I'm pretty wrecked right now. Cool. It's gonna be fun.
All right. So for those of y'all in the chat and those of y'all that are new to the stream, I'm gonna break down the rules and break down how this goes. And then we are gonna go ahead and get it popping. So the way this works is there will be 5 questions asked of these two individuals. They have 2.5 minutes apiece to answer the question. You must choose yes or no. Your side of the argument has to be yes or no. Once you guys are done, whatever time you leave on the table will be used for a joint battle. So Ben, we know you like to talk a lot. Shawn, we know Ben like to talk a lot. So when y'all get that joint time, talk over him. You know what I'm saying? Go at it. Ben, I ain't trying to tell him how to win, but you do talk a lot. We love you for it, though.
Listen, anything to help the unproven opponent is all good.
That was not a cue for you to start talking. Shut up.
All good. It's all good. Anything to help the unproven opponent. I get it. Everyone's against the undefeated. It's fine. I'll wait.
Mute his mic.
I'll wait.
At the end of the round, all the judges will choose who they feel made the best point in regards to the question. The way the scoring system will work is at the end of it, whoever has the most points wins the debate. Now, should all 3 judges pick one person, we will have what's called a knockout question, where that person will get a chance to answer one question And if they get all 3 judges to decide in their favor, then they can come back in the fight. Otherwise, you will be knocked out in the first round. So keep that in mind as we get ready to ask these questions. So I'm going to go ahead and show you your first question of the night. And your first question of the night, gentlemen, is, can a content creator survive with just a kit lens? So that is the first question of the night. Can a content creator survive with just a kit lens? Ben, since you are the returning champ, you choose whether you want to go first or defer to Shawn.
Toying costs.
Toying costs?
We discussed this last time. You cannot come in here and change rules. The man
I damn sure ain't got no coin.
So you gotta pick.
Damn it.
I'm leaving it to being fair.
I got an SD card.
Bro, if you want it, whatever. Just champ.
No.
I got a cannon.
Leave it to chance. Heads or tails. Cannon for heads.
Do not change
Non-cannon
for
tails. Heads for me.
Mike, are you running this or is Ben? I guess Ben running the show.
We good. All right. That's what side it landed on.
That's it. Tails it is. Shawn goes first.
All right.
So I get the pick, yes or no, right?
Yeah, you get to pick yes or no.
So I'm going to sit there and I'm going to say yes. A content creator can definitely survive with just a kit lens because most of the time content creators are just doing A-roll when they first start out. So if whatever their time span is between doing this content creation, they just have to do it just for a year. That lens, in most cases, the focal length that you get, let's say if you get like the GH5 with a split of 60, you have that focal length to cover you from everything. So you have a tight, you have a wide. I think I froze, but nonetheless, though, you have a tight, you have a wide shot as well. So when you were sitting here trying to zoom in on a kit lens, now because you only have that one, because you have the focal between like 12 to we say like 60 or 24 to 120. If you want a wide shot, you got that. If you want something tight with some compression, get that background separation, you can also do that. The kit lens is not something that should be slept on. The kit lens is there to give content creators an overall use if they can't afford to buy any other lens. So I definitely say yes, a kit lens can last you, and it will work if you're a content creator. And you can. I've done that for at least 2 years.
All right. So you leaving about a minute and a half on the clock. So Ben, you know how this works. So I'm gonna go ahead and get your timer ready so you know your side of the argument, sir. Ben?
Cool. So no, mine would be no, mainly because as a content creator, it's all about growth. When you're on a platform such as YouTube or any other platform that you're picking, having different forms of arsenal and things to your advantage to be able to create and give a different look is something that you actually will gain to your advantage. It's what's going to make people appreciate that the work that you're putting in. So the kit lens is a beginner. If you're trying to grow your content from all angles, whether it's confidence in front of the camera, whether it's how you script or how you naturally, talk about products, whether it's, the topic that you want to go through, you want to have the ability to be able to grow to understand the gear that you have. So leaning just on the kit lens, what that introduces is laziness. So there's a saying that goes in the scene that, for example, having a zoom lens, which is usually what a kit lens is, actually makes you lazy when it comes to how you create. Having different lenses that suit the type of shooting style that you want to actually give, whether it's learning how to control your exposure through more depth of field or not, it's something that's going to help bring more creativity. It helps you to actually understand. What that does is it creates that ability for you to have different looks. People then appreciate and actually gives different perspectives of what you're trying to actually, showcase. So if you're using a kit lens and you wanted to give more of a natural depth of field look to a portrait shot or something, you can't do that on a kit lens. Most kit lenses have a variable aperture. So I'll use an example. Sony, they use a power zoom lens, 16 to 50, and it's an f3.5 to f5.6. When you get to that 35 millimeter on a crop sensor, you're getting about 50 millimeter focal length, which is right about where you want for a portrait shot, right? It's f5.6. You're not really going to be getting that shallow depth of field or that creative look that you'd want to be able to isolate your subject and tell a better story. So a kit lens is good, but surviving on it, limiting your growth and how you grow as a creator, I don't think so. A kit lens is just not enough for the long term.
All right. So you took all your time. So I'm going to stop it before the timer goes off. So that means that you guys got about 5 minutes to kind of just go ahead and argue your points. So with that said, timer starts now.
Okay, so Ben, you just said that you picked one lens, one kit lens, one standard kit lens that some cameras do come with better kit lenses, some cameras don't. So for example, the example that I gave, you can get a GH5 with a kit lens of a Toyota 60 f2.8 to a f4.0, which is the equivalent of a 24 to 120. You can definitely get the separation background. You could definitely get that look because now you have a 24 look, you have a 30 mil look, you have a 70 mil look, you have an 85. You have all those looks covered into one lens. And if you know how to compose a shot, it doesn't matter what your aperture is. As long as you know what you're doing, you can still get a nice portrait or background shot.
What about
or
optical
depth of field.
quality? Optical quality is not going to be the same. So if you look at it from example, using that kit lens versus something like the Sigma trifecta, right? Crop sensor f1.4, you've got 16 mil, you've got the 30 mil, and you've got the 56 mil. All that gives you the equivalent of 24 to 50 as well as the 85, right? The optical quality of a prime lens and how it makes you change how you get your composition, it teaches you how to compose, right? You hear the saying that says focus with your feet. Having a prime lens makes you understand focus, what you call it, focal length judging, because you've got one fixed lens. What that does is it makes you work for your shots, right? A zoom lens doesn't necessarily do that, especially when it's a kit, because one, all your exposure is changing, even though it's variable. Regardless of the focal length look, your exposure is changing. If your exposure changes now, right, it ruins your shot, right? You have to now rethink again because it's not actually keeping a steady look through each optical range because there's moving parts, right? That's where you're going to lose the optical quality versus a prime. So the case is more down to, yes, you can get a look, but will you get a better look and will you actually learn how to be more creative with different lenses versus a kit?
That can be argued because you're basing the optical quality of this lens on things that can be changed in post-production. A lot of things that like you may see wrong as far as like if it's the depth of field or the lens lack a certain amount of sharpness that you're looking for. This is all something that you can add in post-production. So if you have a system like Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve, if you're a content creator, you already bought a camera lens, I'm sure 9 times out of 10 you've already downloaded one of these systems.
But adding it in post won't look nowhere near as naturally good as getting the shot right. So when we learn, it's all about
color grades are
everything. It can, but things like natural depth of field. You can't compare natural depth of field to a fake Gaussian blur, for example. One, it takes more time. You're gonna have to use masking, and then the blur definitely does not look anywhere natural as having a wide depth of field.
Who has not used DaVinci Resolve extensively. For somebody who uses DaVinci Resolve, you can still create a very nice depth of field look and a very shallow depth of field by using power windows, color grading, lighting.
Very nice versus a natural depth of field with the optical quality.
Also, with the optical quality thing, again, so you telling me right now a 50 you can honestly tell the difference between a $50 lens
100%
and a $1,000. I know you're lying. 100%. I know you're lying. You cannot tell the difference. If somebody put a photo in front of you,
anyone
on social media, when you consume any content, it's going through compression regardless.
So there's even the best kit lenses, even the best kit lenses that are f2.8 on something like an APS-C lens, right? F2.8 to f4, 18 to 55 on a Fuji, for example. Even the best kit lens cannot get as wide as a prime lens. 1, 2, and because there's less moving parts, you can tell the optical quality. It's an intangible. You'll be able to notice it. So being able to get that optical quality and the look, that's when you're not going to make your post-production much easier. You're going to get a better look.
You missed what I was saying.
At the end of the day, the creativity is limited. Is limited.
True, I hear you, but again, you're missing what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you're telling me right now, right? So we just said a $50. I didn't say whether it's a Zoom or Prime, but let's just say for the argument example of this sake, we take a $50 Canon f4.8 and we take a $5,000 or a $1,000 Sigma f1.8. You're not gonna be able to tell the difference. So
you'll be able to tell the difference.
You cannot tell the difference, especially when it's going through compression. Every single thing that you put on YouTube goes through compression. 9 times out of 10, in most cases, your viewers are not even watching your content in 4K. Most of them are watching the 720p when it first load up. So you're telling me they're gonna be able to see the difference in a 720p resolution between a 50? No, it's no way.
It's the same principle where most people that shoot high bitrate 1080p on cameras like the Fuji X-T3 and X-T4 that's shooting 200 megabits per second, your EOS Rs that are shooting at high bitrate at 1080p, people are still uploading those in 4K and people are still benefiting. So regardless of how it's shot, the original master copy, right?
Round one. All right. T, as soon as you finish your drink. Who you got?
First. Woo. I gotta go with my boy Shawn, man. Both made good argument. Well, we ain't doing why. We just doing the votes, right?
No, you got a couple seconds. We do why. You got a couple seconds.
No, but both made good points, man. It could have been either way, man. But when we're talking about surviving, like it all comes down to we are sticklers for it, but the people who watching us, they're just turning on YouTube, man, and not even changing their resolution. So I have to go with Shawn on this one just because the viewers just care about the content. They're not really caring about the quality, man.
All right, Dobo, who you got?
All right, so I'm gonna have to go with Shawn. I'm gonna give you my reason why, because when we talk about surviving on YouTube as a content creator, I look at somebody like David Dobrik, who basically shot 18 to 50 millimeter Canon, stock lens, didn't even put, a mic on his camera, and he's got, millions of subscribers, and he's able to survive. And the reality is most of your audiences don't care about bokeh. It's bullshit. Okay. They don't care about that. They're just looking at you. And when you're a content creator, they don't care about what utilities you use to make your content. It's all about you. You are the content. So I think that's most of all. So absolutely, you can utilize a kit lens.
All right. Adrienne, who do you have?
First and foremost, I would like to say, Travis and Viper, mind your business. I have this on because I am practicing social distancing, and I need the idiots in the chat that think that it's not cool to wear a mask to understand that you can wear a mask. Now, so basically, I get to determine whether Ben is getting knocked out or not. So I will say this, Ben, you should have read the question. You did not really talk about the survive aspect. And even if you did, Shawn killed you anyway, so I'm going with Shawn.
Oh man,
that's news.
Ben,
that's not news.
The reigning champ knocked out in the first round, so I got to give you a question to come back.
Yep.
So let me see.
I'll come back.
Let me see what we got. All right, Ben, your question is going to be: do megapixels make the camera?
No.
All right. So you're saying no. So you got a minute and 30 seconds to convince them judges to bring you back. Otherwise, we finna party for the next hour and a half.
Two cameras that answer that question easily: GH5S and A7S II. GH5S is practically a 10 megapixel camera. It's a micro four thirds. It's a beast. A7S II is a 12 megapixel camera, large pixels, phenomenal low light. Even till this day, there hasn't been a camera that has come close to the low light capabilities of that full frame camera till this date. Megapixels just do not. It's all about so many different aspects when it comes to things like composition, lighting, audio, framing, storytelling, scripting, storyboarding, coloring. There's so many different aspects when it comes to things like shot sequencing, how you actually, come into the next, frame of a shot. If we're going back to the original body, those two cameras alone have literally stamped their authority in kind of telling, the industry that it's not about the megapixels. It's about the quality of the image. It's about what you do with what's in the body. And again, go back and see every single A7S II footage. There's a reason why the A7S III is being cried out to be released right now. We need a replacement for it because they know that that's the first camera that really taught people that it's not about the megapixels. So it doesn't, 100% doesn't.
All right. So, Dobo, did he bring himself back in?
I think so. Everything he said was pretty much factual and spot on. Megapixels don't matter, especially when you're shooting like 4K, things like it. Video, I don't think megapixels matter quite as much. So yeah, he's spot on.
All right. T?
I know everybody getting my audio, man. How's the audio sound now? It's still low?
Yeah,
you're good, man. You're good.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. I ain't tweet this mic yet. Nah, Ben's back, man. Nah, megapixels.
Like what?
I definitely don't. I don't get into all that. The megapixel war for me. You know what I mean? But he brought himself back.
All right, Adrienne.
I'll
Can't
allow
take her
it.
serious tonight.
All right. All right. Now, Ben, by bringing yourself back in, you earned yourself a mercy point. So,
Like what?
Shawn, since you won that last round, that means that you get to choose your side of the argument for the next question. So the next question is, have smartphone cameras caught up to DSLR cameras? This is the next question we got.
Okay, I can go with this, and I can go in right now.
Yeah, what you got? Yes or no?
Oh no, no.
All right, go.
All right, so this, let me tell y'all something right now. This is a real quick way to go ahead and kill this whole little vibe right now. If somebody shows up to your wedding, a music video shoot, a movie shoot with their cell phone, what are you gonna do? You can be like, yo, fam, go home. Cell phones are great. Don't get me wrong. For the way they've come close to video cameras with the 4K capability, with the slow-mo capabilities, they are there. But the problem is with cell phones is the size of the sensor. The sensor is just way too small and cannot retain enough information and data to even make an image. Now, images can look good, but you're gonna notice the difference between a shot maybe like on a 6K sensor versus an iPhone sensor. You definitely don't have that same depth of field when you're shooting either, right? So if you're getting super close to a subject and you want to stop your lens down to an f1.8 on a DSLR, you're going to get a really nice, creamy, bokeh background look. Now, granted, that does not matter for some, but if you're trying to have something stick out and pop out for content creation to make something look good as far as contrast is concerned, then you definitely want a DSLR. Cell phones just can't do that yet. They're really great for wide shots. They're really great for maybe even like social media videos, but you would never see someone just out there like, yo, listen, if you show it to my job with, you know what I'm saying, without a DSLR, you got a cell phone, I'm still gonna pay you the same rate. There's a reason why cell phones are cost one amount, and there's another reason why DSLRs cost another. Now here's the thing: people always make the argument that full frame is just always top notch, and if you have anything other than a crop sensor, then you're missing out so many features. You're lacking this, you're lacking that. So if you can have that same argument that full frame sensor is just so big, and crop sensors you lose this much quality and things of that nature, how can you not apply that same argument to cell phones when a cell phone sensor is literally like almost the fraction size of a Micro Four Thirds sensor? So cell phones are great; they're coming a long way, but just between the shallow depth of field and dynamic range still, and the way the clips are handled in color grading, it's just not ready yet. Done.
All right. So you left about 30 seconds on there. So Ben, is you ready?
Yes.
All right, go.
So they have in their own way, and specifying the question, DSLRs. We're not talking about mirrorless cameras. If we're saying DSLRs, right? When it comes to that, they have caught up in their own way. So if you look at what the capabilities of smartphone cameras can do, we'll use some examples because examples are very good. So when it comes to the iPhone 11 Pro, right? The support and the power that comes into that phone based on the camera lenses that are on there and based on the applications that are on there as well, things like Filmic Pro, being able to shoot with all those different camera angles at the same time, as well as the selfie, the capabilities that you have in there to be able to shoot. And you can see it with the commercials, the equipment that you can use around smartphones. The principle is no different to DSLRs, right? You've seen commercials being shot on iPhones. You've seen short movies being shot on iPhones. You've seen documentaries and TV shows being shot on Netflix. Now, Netflix being a platform for high quality delivery, if that was the case, they wouldn't even consider a smartphone, but yet people shot content on there. So you have to look at it from the balance of smartphones come with the advantages of having lenses that have different focal lengths, right? If you look at something like the P40 Pro Plus, you've got 5 lenses, one for a long range zoom, a mid range zoom, x3, x10. You've then got a smartphone sensor that is pretty much as close to. So if you're using an argument about people saying it's not really about the sensor size, then you can't use sensor size as an argument of information. The information is down to the processing power. And in fact, most smartphones have more internal processing power than most cameras, hence why they're able to do the high frame rates at 4K. If you look at something like the A7 III, as powerful as that camera is, it still can't do 4K 60. My iPhone can at a high bit rate. And you've got better stabilization as well. So in fact, when you're looking at the capabilities of what a smartphone can do, 1, you've got the ease of use. 2, you've got the unlimited software resources to be able to push it, whether it's shooting in log, having high dynamic range, and also more flexibility and different shooting modes for video as well.
All right. So both of y'all left about 30 seconds on the clock. So y'all got your 5 whenever y'all ready.
All right, so Ben, here's the issue with what you were saying as far as in regards to you can't argue sensor size. You definitely have to argue sensor size because in low light, cell phones are nowhere near ready. They're nowhere near ready to a DSLR. In nighttime, cell phone footage still looks garbage for the most part. Now we're not talking about portraits.
Not with night mode.
We're not talking.
Not with night mode.
How many cell phones are you shooting with night mode?
Pixel 4. Google Pixel 4. If you look at the P40 Pro, that shoots night mode. Samsung Galaxy that shoots night mode. iPhone that shoots night mode. So
you look at that footage. You really tell me that's gradable footage? Is that really gradable footage?
100%. It is. 100%. That's a matter of perspective. You just asked me a question about how many cameras shoot night mode. I answered all the cameras that shoot night mode. You're saying it's gradable. You've got denoising technology in it is. You've got denoising technology that you can use to clean it up.
Once you put denoising already on a softened image, it's going to turn into much, bro.
It's like, not.
The skin is already softened in night mode.
If you see the P40 Pro Plus, it's got night mode shot single take. It's got a sensor pretty much as good as a 1-inch sensor. Then on top of that, you've got the flexibility and the convenience of having all the different focal lengths there to be able to capture on the fly. Then you've got the processing power where most other cameras can't shoot a level of quality at the same time. That's the advantage.
Bro, the focal length on a cell phone is nowhere near close to the focal length on any DSLR. You would not have that same. There's no depends on the lens. The small sensor
on
size
the smartphone.
Fam, you know how far back you have to be to get even
not with an ultra wide angle lens
that
has no.
So you have to shoot ultra wide the entire time. So what about the close shots?
Shallow depth of field, it's not everything based on the fact that one, you get more natural bokeh based on the new sensor sizes that's in there. You've got portrait mode as well. You've got all the natural bokeh that you get. You've got the what you call it, portrait mode that you've got there as well. You've got all the computational power.
We can stop that right now. We can stop that right now.
All the computational power that you've got.
Not ready to step up to DSLR yet. On some portraits in good lighting, yes. But in standard, just regular, like if I'm shooting something in low light right now and portrait mode on the iPhone versus something like on my GH5, you're gonna instantly be able to tell which one was shot on a professional camera and which one is not. Cell phone sensors.
Again, the same argument you made before. It depends on one, the edit that you do, the computational photography, and the video that you've got on the smartphone as well, especially with things like portrait mode, especially with things like improved night mode. Most people have seen the shots that you get from a smartphone, and they don't even realize it's from a smartphone because there's so much more computational headroom, and you've got the convenience and the flexibility, and you've got the stabilization as well. So it doesn't change.
So with cell phones, you're telling me that in night mode, you can also shoot in 4K 60 because what if you want to do a slow-mo concert shoot? Now you also have to adjust that shutter. You have to adjust that shutter speed up so much on that cell phone. So if you want to shoot in 60 frames per second,
it's no different based on the fact that the bigger sensors that's in there
because the smaller sensor you're letting less lighting. That's just
look at the comparisons. Look at the comparisons. The amount of computational headroom that you have, you get much better dynamic range out of the box. There's less
on a cell phone. You get more dynamic range.
Yes, you do. All right, go see iPhone 11 versus A7 III.
Okay,
go have a look.
So we have one cell phone. We have one cell phone. You can shoot in RAW, but the information within that sensor is nowhere near the same information within a full frame sensor.
It's the same.
The shadows, like you can recover shadows. They're going to be noise. They're going to be garbage.
It's the skill of the edit and what you do after.
Not the skill of the edit. Because
yes, it is.
At the end of the day, if you're shooting an iPhone,
you couldn't have made the same argument in regards to what you do.
You cannot do that and still recover the shadows as much as you can with a full
It's no different. There's a lot that you can recover in post.
Because the sensor size makes it that much of a difference. So you're telling me there's a difference.
The skill of the edit in the room that you have in the software, and with improved sensors and the computational photography and the video that you've got, it gives you all the room to edit. It's no different. Hence why the principle is the same for full frame versus micro four thirds. The whole argument in the case that you can't work with it. It's about knowing what you're doing. It's about how to use and get the shot right. Once you get the shot right, it's what you do in the edit. Most people are still able to pull up classy shots, especially now with the smartphone photography and the video capabilities that you get. No. The question says, have smartphone cameras caught up to DSLRs? They didn't say about video. They didn't say about photos. So we're talking about both.
There's two sides to the story, though.
Exactly. So that's what. No. So that's what we're discussing.
Because
no. You can't. The rules didn't state.
All right. Ooh.
Shit. I take a shot at that.
This shit being, by the way.
Dobo, who you got?
This one's a tough one. So it's gonna take some explanation. I'm gonna go with Shawn on this because, and here's why. I want you to hear me out. The question: has smartphone caught up to DSLRs? And the answer is no, because it's very subjective. Every smartphone manufacturer puts out a different camera, different software. So not one smartphone is going to be like another, and you're still lacking a lot of features that you get from a full-size DSLR. You don't have auto-bracketed exposures. You don't have proper RAW. So these are all things that from a photographer standpoint that I look for when I get a camera. I want to know that I can change my focal lengths. I want to know that I can change my aperture. Yeah, some cameras have variable apertures, but most of them are locked at, a fixed aperture. And the smaller the aperture you can get, the better for low light, obviously. And then obviously we get, larger, we get the 1.8 apertures. We can do a lot more. But for me as a photographer, I'm going to say no, hell no. Right. Not even close.
T.
Man, I'm like juggling in my mind right now because it's you gotta look at the questions. Caught up, and is it same as, better? It can be worded. It's tricky wording. So I'm gonna have to go with Ben on this one because they've caught up. When I say caught up, meaning they're there. That you see people making movies with iPhones, and you see all the different things like that. You see that. Now, is it better? No, but they have caught up to them to shoot some of the same things as professional cameras do. So I'm mostly wording it out of how the question is worded, and I think smartphones has caught up. Are they better? No, but they are caught up, and you do have your people. And I'm gonna tell you another little reason. You do have your people who are shooting these movies and different things like that. It goes back to the first question. People are just consuming media. They're not really hitting on super professional and different things like that. People are just consuming media. So therefore, in the average person, realm, to them, it all looks good. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna have to go with Ben on that one. Real tight, super close, but I'm gonna have to go with Ben on that one.
Adrienne, you are the deciding factor.
I do believe that this one was close, and I'm only giving this to this person on a technicality, kind of what T said. I think Ben had very strong points for that they caught up, but they're just not better. But the question said caught up. So on a technicality, because that was really, really close. It could have been a draw. I'm going to go with Ben.
It could have been a draw. It was super close. I mean, me and Shawn has talked about this. We know. So it was super close.
Ooh, we got $100 super chat.
Just wording, I'm going to have to get at the Ben on that one.
Whoa. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Oh, LB.
Well, that popcorn's selling good.
Wow.
Hey,
look, it's either the popcorn selling good or he got that stimulus for all them kids. You got that
stimuli. You got that stimuli.
LB got 5 kids over there. His stimulus look good. LB, appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much. Also, thank you to the Everyday Dad for Travis MCP and everybody else who has super chatted tonight. The Tech Preacher. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it very much. Now, let's keep it moving. So, you guys, man, y'all are really making this a debate. I'm trying to figure out which question I want to ask y'all next because I'm liking it.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
It is, man.
I think this one's gonna be an interesting one because this is something I'm currently struggling with in myself when it comes to my camera right now. So I'm gonna ask y'all: is autofocus make or break when choosing a camera? So Ben, since you won that one, you get to start it off. Let me know when you're ready.
No.
All right, your time is going, sir.
So it's not. It cannot be make or break, man. Cameras and some of the if not all of the best movies created definitely were created on cameras that did not have autofocus, right? The Joker recently, we're talking about modern, recently, right, was shot on an Arri Alexa, right? Whether it's the LF or the Mini, anyone that knows Arri cameras, man, these are the gold standard for cinema, not because of features, but they give that pure filmic look on a digital image. They don't even have built-in ND filters, let alone phase detection autofocus, right? Another recent film. We're talking about recent films before we even go back. Another recent film, you know, Star Wars Force Awakens Episode 7, that was shot on 35mm film by J.J. Abrams. Tell me what film camera you know that has autofocus, right? Autofocus is a phenomenal technology thanks to camera companies like Canon with their dual pixel autofocus technology, Sony with their fast 4D face detection autofocus. These things are great assist tools. What they aid in doing is efficiency, but I guarantee you there is no way autofocus is make or break. I'm going to use examples because I like using examples. GH5 does not have autofocus to save its life. No matter how many updates that they've done to that contrast detection autofocus system, still not good, right? But there is so many workaround tools with the Lumix app, whether you're using things like your smartphone, which everyone has, your iPad. There is so many workaround tools in there where you can actually, you know, quick AF, and then you're locked into focus and you're getting a tack sharp image, right? Autofocus is not something that you should lean on and it should be make and break. It's about learning the equipment and using it to its best ability. If it means sacrificing autofocus to have better bit depth at 10-bit or 422 or higher shooting frame rates, that's what you should be going for, because actually what that will do is it will give you more creative freedom to get different types of shots rather than having a camera that focuses so much on autofocus but doesn't give you the creative freedom to be able to actually shoot and do what you need to do. So autofocus does not make or break a camera. It's a luxury assistive tool that is very nice to use for things like, you know, when you're doing your portrait photography and so many other things. But again, look at something like the Nikon D850. Face detection, it doesn't have face detection.
All right. Shawn, you know your side of the argument, sir. Are you ready?
I am.
All right. You got your time starts now.
Autofocus actually does make or break a camera. Here's why. The problem that I'm hearing that my other guy is going against right now is saying that he's only talking about big productions, right? But if you're somebody by yourself, you don't have a focus puller, you need a camera that you can know is gonna get a shot. So when you talk about Sony camera, you talk about Canon cameras, even if you're missing a GH5, the GH5 deals to have some type of autofocus built into it, right? So to have a camera today's age with no autofocus, you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage for tracking shots. You know what I'm saying? Those pan shots, parallax shots, all of that. If you do not have autofocus and you are a solo shooter, you are definitely in trouble. So what I'm saying is if you're somebody who's shooting a wedding, you have to walk down the aisle by yourself. You want to make sure that that bride is always in focus. If you're not skilled enough to use an actual focus puller yourself on a gimbal, but again, now you're sitting here and holding two hands on a gimbal, so you have to make sure that your shot is in focus and make sure that you're sitting here not tripping over. First, if you had autofocus, great autofocus, you could just walk back, and just make sure you're not going to trip and fall over anyone. Autofocus is make or break for anybody who's a solo shooter specifically. If you're not working on big productions, how are you going to survive? You can survive, but you're going to be at a really big disadvantage on most of your shoots because you have the autofocus pretty much makes you a two-man person because the autofocus is your focus puller, and then you are the person who's behind the camera, make sure you get the shots.
All right. Y'all brother got 5 minutes and go.
First thing I'm going to say is the fact that you said that you can survive. It means that you agree with the fact that it doesn't make or break. If you can survive, based on what you said, it basically means that it doesn't make or break. If you can survive and you can make it work, and the fact that you said it means that you agree with the fact that indirectly, autofocus does not make or break choosing a camera.
Okay, so right? I probably do fucked up on that. Here's my thing though, Ben. All the things that you named about autofocus when it came to anything, you never really touched on too much for solo people, for people who don't have money.
I did.
For big production.
You missed the point. What I said was workaround.
It's a workaround, bro. Like, no, what are you gonna do for tracking shots?
So the fact that it's a workaround means that it can be done as a solo shooter.
What can you do for tracking shots?
Most, if not the top YouTube channels, right, are all GH5 users.
I
Are
got
you
that.
telling me as solo GH5 users with millions of subscribers, it's make or break?
Bro,
Why would they use a camera that will make or break their
you
channel?
you
They've worked
believe that the
around it.
GH5 does not have autofocus. Every video I've shot with my GH5, every single one I use autofocus. Every last one of them. So
Contrast detect.
autofocus, but it's an autofocus. It's autofocus.
But you can't. There's no way. Anyone that you tell, would you trust contrast detection autofocus versus Canon's dual pixel? There is no way. Not even on a subjective level.
But they're both autofocus. They're autofocus. They're autofocus.
They're different
whether one is bad or not, they're both autofocus.
Regardless, every camera, even the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, has some form of autofocus. What we're saying is, does autofocus make or break choosing a camera? No, it 100% does not.
So let me ask you a question. If you get a cinema camera and they have no autofocus, if you buy a cinema camera that has no autofocus, who's going to put the shutter focus for you?
You can do it yourself. You've got the red camera.
Focus ruler? Okay,
I'll use an example.
Now you have to buy more
How do you think Marquez, for example, MKBHD, who shoots on a red 8K with no
Are you
autofocus,
comparing somebody with a
no.
Somebody
it's the principle
a regular mirrorless camera? It's not even close. But you have to build that up. You're building pieces to make that cinema camera work.
In focus by himself when he's holding a smartphone from the top. He's getting it in focus by himself. My point is, you're talking about as a solo person, and I gave you all the examples, but you missed it. I said there's workarounds, meaning that you can make it work through things like apps, things like using things like your smartphone and framing.
Those apps are using autofocus to get you on focus, though.
No, it's using single shot to get you in frame, right? And it's not using any form of continuous autofocus. Autofocus on that level.
They didn't say continuous. They said autofocus. They said autofocus. They didn't say whether it's continuous or not. So that means that the camera has autofocus.
I specified it, but you didn't. I actually specified it. I specified
what
both.
I'm saying is now autofocus is needed then. When you said it's a 1 point shot autofocus, that just lets me know that you need autofocus.
You said that you can
prove my point.
That you
prove my point.
Agreed that it does not make or break a camera. It does not make or break a camera.
If the camera has no autofocus, what are you supposed to do? If it has no autofocus.
Every single camera.
You're by yourself. You can't afford a focus puller.
Easily. I just gave you examples. You're asking
again with the one autofocus, right?
No. But either way, you asked, what do you do when you're a single shooter? How do you get around it? And I showed you, and I just actually told you.
You show me based off a system that has autofocus. If the camera has no autofocus,
every camera has every single bit of assist, whether it's focus peaking, focus assist tools. Either way, it does not make or break. The question is, does it make or break? And it doesn't. Every camera that
if you're by yourself, you are very limited with your shots. You are very limited with your shots. You can't do any pan shots by yourself.
I've given you examples.
No paralysis, no tracking.
Find me a channel that has.
You know what I'm saying? So at what point in time do you get any type of? At what point in time you gonna make sure your shots is in focus? If you're sitting here worrying about the focus wheel, your focus puller, and your monitor,
there's other tools that you use. There's so many workarounds.
But you are putting yourself at a way huge disadvantage by not having autofocus. If you just bought a system with reliable autofocus,
we didn't talk about
survive, bro. If you're by yourself, you cannot survive without no autofocus. If you're by yourself, you can't survive without autofocus.
You said you can at the beginning. That's what I'm saying. You said you can survive, so you can't go back on what you said. You got to own what you said. You said.
Are you gonna own what you said about the fact that the autofocus continue? You try and break apart autofocus continue with regular autofocus?
That's
because again, if the camera has no autofocus,
better clarity. So there's better.
You need it.
No.
So we're both in the same boat. We're both in the same boat.
No. The fact
because you feel that you still need autofocus.
The fact you said you can survive.
You still feel that you need autofocus, and you don't.
You said you can survive.
So let me ask you a question. You're at a wedding. You're in a gimbal.
Oh, it's done? Okay.
Okay. I know what it was, bro.
In the moment, man.
T.
I thought it was Adrienne time to go first.
She always been going first, bro.
Oh, shit.
No, she been going last. She been going last, actually.
Why are you trying to put it on me, T? Make up your mind. Be a man. We're waiting.
I'm gonna have to go with Shawn on this one because the question, it's all in the wording of the question. When choosing a camera, So I think when we're talking about in choosing, we don't know whether it's somebody who's doing professional. We don't know if it's somebody who's just starting off. But regardless, I still have to say it. And I'm not a professional by any means. I know you could probably get busy with autofocus without it not performing good. But I think when choosing a camera, man, if it has, why not choose something that has a better system than something that doesn't really? You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna have to go with Shawn on this one. I can kind of get along with it about it, but I'm just gonna go with Shawn on this one.
All right. Dobo.
All right, I'm gonna have to go with Ben on this one because I don't think autofocus is really important. There's a lot of things you look for in a camera. It could be bit rate, it could be color depth. I mean, those are all things that I think are more important than autofocus. And it also depends on what type of creator you are. If you're going to be behind the camera physically shooting something, I mean, there's ways to circumvent that. You can get a color chart, you can get a focus peaking utility. So I just don't think autofocus is like a big deal. It's not a deal breaker. Especially Shawn, you shoot on GH5, man. Come on, bro.
Adrienne, who you got?
Okay. So the way I'm judging this question, I'm not judging this question based on whether I think the answer is yes or no. I'm judging strictly on how it was debated. And to be honest, it could be another draw because both of you came in with strong points. And then at some point, both of you slipped up and messed up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to be honest with that. I will give it to Ben by like a tenth of a point. Tenth of a point.
All right. Well, that means that going into the fourth round, folks, we got a tie battle right now. So, Ben, you won that round. So, let's see what you do with this question here. Does a smartphone camera really need manual mode? Make sure you understand the question. Does a smartphone camera really need manual mode?
No.
All right. Your time has started, sir. Go.
Need is a necessity. Nah. If you look at, I'll give you an example. The Pixel series are synonymous for always being critiqued, criticized, hammered down for the fact that they don't give any level of flexibility. You can't change this. It doesn't give you 4K 60. You can't do this. There isn't a pro mode. There isn't a manual mode. There isn't a flexibility mode. There isn't a MacGyver mode. There's so many modes that they want people to do. Irrespective, the results talk. The results talk because smartphones are there to meet that convenience of quick point and shoot. That term point and shoot is not a gimmick, right? The point and shoot got killed off because of the smartphone, because the smartphone became the point and shoot, right? The smartphone is the most personal. So you don't need people having more things or hurdles in between to get their shot. What people want from a smartphone is a smartphone that captures focus, gives you clear images. Every mode that you select, you can select very quickly, very, very fast to be able to get the shot. Whether it's things like double pressing the power button to get into the camera to take a shot automatically. You've got smartphones like the Samsungs, as well as the OnePluses, where you can set it where you double press the power button. As soon as it unlocks, it takes a picture. Those intangible user experiences for quick, fast point and shoot, accurate color rendition, pleasing colors, whether it's people that prefer a color that is more true to life or more punchy color, better dynamic range, things like being able to do single shot night shot mode or night mode, like what you get in the new P40 series, where instead of having a long exposure shot for night mode, you can take night mode pictures in exactly 1 second. Those things matter, right? Manual mode, what you're then doing is you're introducing more variables for people to get shots wrong. And we all know it's the little things that frustrate people when it comes to the end results. Look at the Ultra. The Ultra, of all the things it has on the paper, S20 Ultra to be specific, the camera is a blind camera. No matter how good that camera is on paper, if it cannot see or even catch focus, what is the point? So actually, those things matter more than having a pro mode or manual mode.
All right. Shawn, you know your side of it.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. So cell phones need manual mode. Yes, they do. And here's why. one, if you do not have manual mode on your phone, I mean, you are totally reliant on this system to do all of your picture taking for you. So if you ever want to do something like, I don't know, choose a macro shot. What if you want to get real close to a flower? And we've all been there with cell phones sometimes. You're sitting here tapping on the screen and just will not focus. Versus you sitting here being able to actually use manual focus, change how close you want, or maybe you want a specific shot in focus and something out of focus. You're able to do that with manual focus. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do that with autofocus and straight regular point and shoot, but to have that flexibility in that room, that's all left in your creative vision at this point. You're not relying on the system to be your eye. Secondly, with long exposures, depending on what kind of cell phone you have, and this is also a problem, you're hoping that every cell phone that's coming out right now has night mode. Well, let's just say every cell phone that's coming out right now has manual mode where they can actually get real long exposure when they want to get light trails and leak trails and things of that nature. You can't do that with night mode because in most cases, they're sitting there trying to take the best shot versus you taking a shot that you want and being able to fix whatever you didn't like in post. Also, with a manual mode, you also get raw photos. If you are relying on the system to give you just JPEGs and take the best pictures for you, you're not really trying to take your photography game serious with your smartphone. Now, with having manual mode is introducing raw mode, now you are able to have more post-production changes in your photos. And then also with video, you're also able to change the f-stop if you need it or your ISO rate. So if you want to sit there and say you want a shot to be a little bit darker than most because you're lighting the scene this particular way, then you could do that in manual mode. That's why a lot of video camera apps now are coming out to unlock the smartphone's manual mode because you have a lot more power behind that sensor.
Okay. All right. So you guys got your 5 minutes. Whenever y'all are ready.
You make good points.
I know.
Macro.
It's over.
You make good points. But why would I want to shoot macro with manual mode when I've got macro mode on a smartphone?
Again, you're relying on a system. Again, you're naming phones that has certain systems.
Because I've got to give examples.
If every cell phone doesn't have that, every cell phone can have manual mode because you can download the app. But you're relying on every cell phone to have a system that's smart enough to recommend.
I'll give you an example
to recommend a food shot.
Why would I want to do that? So, for example, you talked about light trails, P series on Huawei. There's a light trails mode.
Again, a one-off phone. Again, this is a one-off.
Why would someone take?
But this is one phone that you're naming. Most cases,
no. I named two phones. I gave you two phones.
These are sporadic ass phones, though.
It doesn't matter.
You think about it. If you download a manual app, you could do all of that. I don't need to own a OnePlus to do a macro shot. If I download this app to do manual, I can get my own macro shot.
Different scenario that will actually give you those results. Again, come back to it. Really need. Let's look at the percentage of people that if they really need something, they're going to use it at least 50% of the time. Let's not even say 90. Are you honestly telling me the majority of people that buy their smartphones have ever opened their manual mode? I know most people that have never used their super slow motion mode, manual mode. Slow motion is
I can run myself a lot of creators, so a lot of them need manual mode.
Manual mode. Any time to actually learn how to use
manual introduces raw. So you're telling me that raw photos are not needed in the camera?
Right?
A raw photo is not needed in the camera.
Even then, the argument for raw makes no difference. Most people slap filters when they upload to Instagram, bro. Raw doesn't do anything.
But what about the person who's a professional photographer of a cell phone?
Use a professional.
As a professional, you're gonna download a manual movie.
Why would you use a proper camera?
No, this is your thing. They hire you to do smartphone photography. They could hire anybody else to do a DSLR. They want to
as a professional, why are you using a smartphone? As a professional, you shouldn't be using a smartphone.
The same reason why Samsung and Huawei be sitting here taking photos to try to prove how good their phones are. In most cases, you get raw photos to shoot, proving they're taking DSLR.
Because it's not a professional equipment. Because if you're using something professionally, you have to use specialized equipment.
So raw
smartphones are not.
If smartphones can be used in the video world to make movies, smartphones
all about the convenience. What about the convenience? As a professional, you couldn't. They're there to mimic. They're there to mimic. They're there to give you that ease of use to be able to get those results.
Right. So, but also too, you do need manual mode because your system is not always relying on getting 100%
not.
Your system's not. Your phone's not always
as someone that is the
phones after dark.
open my manual mode. I've never opened my manual mode. So when it comes to do you need manual mode,
they've already been cool. It does what they need to do.
Do you need manual mode?
But now they have autofocus system, right? That's just terrible.
It's a luxury based
all manual is not a luxury. Manual is needed.
It's a luxury.
It's a luxury, bro. Professional work, especially if you want to get the best picture out of that smartphone.
When we finish with all the judges, fine. How many of them have actually opened the manual mode?
There's
some of the judges now
because
they got rid of their manual mode phone.
Random 5 people in here. Because of the random 5 people, there are millions of people in the world, bro.
And they went back to a phone that doesn't have manual mode because it's focus. So real life example, bro.
That's
they
crazy.
got rid of
because these people in here don't use manual mode.
Why did you get the S20 Plus when it's got a manual mode in video and photo because it wasn't catching focus? Why have people gotten rid of
autofocus? Because of that bad autofocus.
So why not tell them to use manual mode? It's got manual mode, it's got pro mode, you can watch it and use it in video.
That's just bad marketing.
You can use manual mode. Your phone can't catch focus. You can use pro mode. I don't think so.
If you sat there and went to go buy a TV, they're like, hey man, your remote don't work.
Use manual mode to catch focus.
Cannot catch focus, bro. That is the same thing, my boy. You need manual mode to get the best photos because they introduce this phone.
All right.
What the fuck?
Jesus.
I told you it'd be good.
Jesus. Adrienne, who you got?
Okay. So I'm glad this happened because I was able to start tuning them out when they just started going back and forth because one of them said something that I caught on to, which blew his whole argument. So one of you said, I can just download an app for manual mode. And by saying that, I have to start with the other person. Do the camera really needs it if you can just download an app? So once you said that, I was done. So I got to get that one to Ben.
All right. T.
And y'all need to learn how to talk with each other because, oh my God.
Well, it's a battle, man. We beef it.
Yeah, damn, boy. I'm gonna have to go. Even I noticed the Shawn slip up. I caught it on the back end, but I still probably have to go with Shawn because Ben, I feel like you were really shooting yourself in the foot when you were naming specific phones. Like there's a smartphone camera, which means all smartphones. So you can't really say, well, this phone has that, this phone has that. That's not all phones. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like yes, you can do a macro, but how many phones have true macro mode? You know what I mean? Like, so you have, I think you kind of lost me when you started naming the individual phones. So with that one, even with the slip up, I have to go with Shawn on that one.
Okay. Dobo, who you got?
Like zoinks. That was tough.
All of them are tough.
I'm gonna go with Ben on this only because I never look for manual at like ever. Like I just want, it's one of those things that I think somebody said it in the chat. I think it was the Everyday Dad. He says the best camera is the one you have on you. And to me, if I got to futz around with manual mode on my camera on my phone, I'm gonna probably miss my shot. I never use manual ever. I just grab my phone, shoot the shot, and that's it. So yeah,
okay.
That's my thing.
All right. So Ben, you won that round. We are now going into the last round. So Ben, that means you get to start it off. Are you going to finish it off, or are you going to let Shawn come back and beat you? This is for all the marbles, Ben. This is for all no pressure. No pressure. Ain't no pressure, man. If you win this, you get a haircut. Ain't no pressure, big dog. Ain't no pressure. So let's go ahead and get it going here. Now, the question is, does a lens make the camera?
Yes.
The lens does make the camera. Okay. You got your time. Go ahead.
It does because there's always that advice that don't focus on the camera body, focus on the lens investment. We've noticed it, right? If we go back, most people don't know for good reason that Samsung actually used to make professional mirrorless hybrid shooting bodies. And those camera bodies from 2014 and 2015, the Samsung NX1 was way ahead of its time. We're talking about a camera that was using H.265 compression internal, right? Shooting high bit rate, full sensor readout, 4K, up to 30 frames a second. The camera was a beast, but no lens ecosystem. First party lenses were limited, third party lenses were limited, right? Lenses make or break a camera system. Even if we go to something like smartphones, right? Pixel 1. If anyone remembers when Pixel 1 was released in 2016, no matter how good that camera was, the lens, not the sensor, the lens optics was so poor that when you were in direct sunlight, it was getting flaring all the way through. So when it comes to lenses, it makes a big difference. I'll even bring it back to now. If you look at all the new smartphones with bigger sensors, right, the plane of focus is so thin based on the fact that the lens optics are actually not big to match the sensor size, where the camera is getting a lot of shots that are in focus looking out of focus. Again, lens ecosystem, Sony E-mount. Have you seen Sony E-mount lenses? You can use any Sony E-mount lens, whether it's crop sensor base, full frame base, all the way from their APS-C to full frame to their cinema cameras, whether it's the FS range or the FX range. For that reason alone, even if Sony still decide to keep shooting and bringing cameras out that are barely doing 10-bit, barely doing 8-bit, internally or externally, still giving you 42 8-bit, a lot of people love the fact that that E-mount system has the best support first party, especially for full frame, and third party with manufacturers such as Tamron, Rokinon, Tokina, and also Sigma. Lens makes the camera, not the camera body itself. Lenses give you all the different looks that you want.
All right. Shawn, you ready, bro?
I am ready, my boy.
Let's go.
All right. So the lens does not make a camera system. The sensor does. And here's why I say that. If I take, again, and you can go check out one of my mentors, I watch his videos on the day-to-day basis, like YC Imaging video. He literally took a picture with a $50 lens and a picture with like a $1,000 lens. And you could not tell the difference, because at the end of the day, it's the sensor size. And I can sit here and tell you guys about 9 spherical blades and how many one got better rounded bladed apertures and things of that nature. But most times, and 9 times out of 10, you're not going to notice that when you're watching something. The sensor is the one that puts out how the image is going to look, what type of color it has, the bit rate, the depth, the shallow depth of field, everything like that. That's all within the sensor. So if you sit there and you put on, there's reasons why you can sit there and get a $60 lens, or lenses like I have that's not even hitting. Well, some of these lenses just hitting over $1,000, but I can still can produce great quality work. Is because of the sensor power that's behind that lens. So yeah, you can sit there and have let's sit there and say you got like a $10,000 lens. I'm talking about this lens is the best lens on the market, but the sensor can't go past like ISO 800, and when you get past like ISO 12,000 or ISO 1600 or something like that, your footage or your look is super grainy. That has nothing to do with the lens. It's a sensor. That's a sensor problem. So if you take a picture, your shot is noisy, don't blame the lens, blame your sensor. So the lens to me is just like, it's there, but the sensor size or the sensor that you decide to purchase into, that's what's going to make or break your photos or your videos. Another prime example of this is when you sit there and see movies shot on like The Possession of Hannah Grace. These movies are shot on like A7S2 because those sensors are super powerful. They can choose whatever lens they want to get, but there's a reason why they chose this body. There's a reason why certain bodies are chosen to film certain movies. You know what I'm saying? Like the sensor can dictate the look and the overall feel of a film, not so much a lens. So that's my debate.
Okay. So y'all got your joint time. So y'all can go on ahead and get in.
Okay, so Ben, as I said before, and I said to you again on his show, bro, you would not be able to tell the difference between a $50 lens image and a $1,000 lens image. But this has been time and time again. Yes, we can sit there and look on paper and be like, oh yeah, but this has this amount of blades and the bokeh bars are just a little bit crispy here. But as a viewer, I'm not sitting here watching. If somebody made a dope movie, I'm looking at the sound, the overall look of the quality, what type of light that is letting in. All of that is being affected by the sensor. That lens could be any type of lens. It's really about the person behind the camera and the sensor that's in the camera, not the lens.
So you say that, but the first advice that's ever given to anyone that gets a camera is get the nifty 50. They're not saying get a new camera, get a new lens. There's a reason why lens gets talked about, right? I'll give you another example because I like examples, right? Fuji XT series. When it comes to the XT series, you've got a portrait lens such as the f1.2 56 millimeter. What that would do is give you the look of an f1.8 to 85 millimeter on a full frame portrait lens, right? If you slap that and a full frame with that same equivalent lens, you're going to get pretty much the same, if not the similar look. Again, that's a smaller sensor going against a full frame sensor that is twice the size, right? But in terms of look, that lens has pretty much compensated for all the shortcomings of the sensor. Hence why people are so comfortable to be able to get something like a GH5S, slap a speed booster, put a full frame lens, and in terms of the magnification, you're getting the same look because the lens and the speed booster are compensating. So actually, they say it's not really about the body per se. The body really will give you the ease of use. Ease of use will be things like such as on the new Sony systems, unlimited video recording. Let's just say if you're doing broadcasting and you want to record past 30 minutes, fine, that's okay. But makes no difference if, for example, Nikon's lens ecosystem for their Z mount is crap. It's poor. No one has jumped on Nikon, even for the sheer fact that camera body, when you use it with an Atmos Ninja 5, you can record in ProRes RAW.
Let's go back to Fuji real quick though. Let's go back because Nikon is just like they don't honestly. That's the whole nother subject. That's marketing.
No, but it's not. It's on the subject.
That's a different issue. It's Fuji's concerned though. As far as the lens is concerned. Here's the thing about lenses. Here's the thing. The sensor is actually the problem, in my opinion, with Fuji, not the lenses, because there should not be a specific lens that can work autofocus better on this body than the next. That's something that you guys need to go ahead and handle within your sensor side. So again, and just to kind of go back with, I might forget into that right now, but nonetheless, though, if you put on any type of lens on a sensor, even on my GH5, granted, you can say you can get the speed booster, but it's the sensor that's still spitting out that image. So even with the speed booster on there, with the speed booster on there, it's not. I had a speed booster on my GH5, but the lens couldn't be used.
When it comes to Fuji, the lens can be used. Sensor is the most advanced APS-C hybrid sensor on the market, right? Everyone knows this. 26.1 megapixels, X-trans. It's got the fastest scan rate, hence why it's doing 240 frames a second at 1080p with no rolling shutter. Come on, it's not about the sensor. At the end of the day,
okay, so that listen, I get what you're saying about power, but that 240 frame, like that has nothing really to do with the lenses that go with the lenses are still got to go on the body.
The lenses are so well done for the X mount system, for example.
No, right? You're wrong on that. You're wrong on that. You're wrong on that. They're not. Okay, they're not done that.
When does Sony bring out their F2, right? Their F2 16 to 55 lens on the APS-C. They brought that out when the A66 came out last year, September 2019. Everyone was raving about finally Sony have done it. Fuji have had that lens for about 5 years. They've had that for time.
So that means
when people were celebrating about Sony finally looking after that sensor with that lens, Fuji had done that time ago. So this is what I mean.
What's the argument?
The argument is the lens makes the camera. The lens system makes the camera. That's why people haven't jumped on Nikon, even though the camera body and the sensor is good enough to shoot ProRes RAW. That's why the camera system for the Samsung NX series tanked because they had the best bodies. The bodies were way
if that's the case, why hasn't Fuji tanked? Because Fuji really don't have a heat. Like honestly, Fuji's a system that you buy into. You're very limited. You're very limited with lenses. You're very limited with lenses. And on top of that, if somebody was to leave,
f2 35 millimeter, f1.4
go to
16 millimeter, f2.8 16 to 55. I can name all of them for you.
Okay, but again, certain lenses are only be used with that body's autofocus. So again, lens selection is garbage.
You're talking about autofocus. No.
That's a problem with the lens because that's a problem with the lens. That's a lens problem. If I got a good body, I can get a system. That doesn't need
All right. That's it.
All right.
Dobo, who you got?
Why you gotta do this to me, bro? This is hard. So Ben hit a lot of great points, because I had a Pixel 1 and I know the pain of that halo. Anytime I shot any photo outside, that halo was there and it ruined a lot of shots. I have the A6400 and the A6600, both the same sensor, but if I change the lens on either one of them, I get a different dynamic. So, and I've also seen a lot of videos of people using really old cameras and they just change out the lens to something faster, or maybe a vintage lens, and they get a whole different look, even anamorphic. So, but the question was, does it make the camera? So I'm going to have to lean with Shawn on this because I think the bit rates and the color that you can get out of a camera is the camera, and the lens has no effect or bearing on what the lens does. The lens is just the artistic look, but not actually what the camera can allow you to do, such as the time you can record or the frames per second in which you can record with. Sorry, it's got to be a lengthy response, but it's complicated.
It's all good. It's all good. T. You're muted.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
You muted, bro.
My bad. It's the crown. This is by far probably the hardest fight that I've judged. I'm gonna probably have to go with Shawn on this one, man, because of really exactly what Dobo said. You line all the bodies up, whatever you want to do. If a body, I just got it. It's basically what Dobo said. It's really exact. I don't want to re-explain it again.
I'm gonna make a shirt and make you wear that tee. I'm gonna make sure you can be on Teespring tomorrow.
It is like it's really exactly the way he said. You know what I mean? So I'm not even gonna get too long with it. I have to go with Shawn on that one, man.
All right. Social distancing queen, Adrienne. What you got?
So let me get this correct, because I was paying attention to what you said in the last round. If the score is what I think it is, if I say Shawn wins, it's a knockout, it's over, and he's a champ. But if I say Ben wins, they got to go to a sudden death round, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
See, I pay attention to things. So, how petty do I want to be? So here's the thing. I think both of them made great points. I do feel like there was a winner. I'm not going to say who that winner is, because it might be the TKO winner. It might be the one that goes to sudden death. And I'm just want to be petty. Take them to a sudden death. Let's go with Ben.
Damn.
Let's go.
Sound like she had Shawn winning that one. That's what it sounds like, but that's just me.
You said what?
Shawn, what you
like,
her, bro?
It sounds like she wanted to say Shawn, but it might not be me talking. This could be the crown talking. I don't know.
Hey,
I will say this, and this is just me being shady. It may apply to some people in the comments. It may not, because I'm not looking at the comments, so I don't know who's in there. But some of you tech YouTubers bought nice lenses and your videos still look shitty. Ooh. So the lens may not make the camera. I just want to say that.
Big facts.
Oh,
big shots fired.
Jesus.
All right.
Huge facts. Huge, big old facts.
So we are going into overtime. And
OT.
See, I gotta see now. This is when I get caught off guard. I gotta figure out which question to ask.
It's got to be a question that's not like another question. Some of these questions, they sort of have some overlap.
Right.
Got to be so different.
All right. Just a second.
Take your time, brother. Take your time. This is tough. This is by far the hardest fight I had to judge.
I know, and Ben makes everything sound so fancy. Like he could say something. He's like, it's about the aperture. And I'm like, fuck, man, that sounds good. He keeps saying stuff. I'm like, just keep talking. I'm like over here when
Ben is in a fight, you got the legit.
I know, man, because he's got that
everything down.
Yeah. Hey, T, you see, I'm so happy I ain't drinking smoking this stream.
I told you, do not drink. You better come here as sober as a boy. Like you about to apply for a job.
When you get in the ring, it's different. I told you. It's
Since we
different when
got
you
an
get in the ring.
overtime, since we got an overtime round, this is how we're gonna do this. It's gonna be, instead of 2.5 minutes, 1.5 minutes. And you guys are gonna get 3 minutes for the back and forth. So keep that in mind. 1.5 minutes and 3 minutes for the back and forth. Now, this was said earlier by someone in the chat. You guys are probably gonna know who it is when I put it up there, but a lot of YouTubers and a lot of people are watching this right now. It's 38 people watching this, and somebody maybe watching this stream might want to start a YouTube channel. They may want to, learn a little bit about photography. They may go to Shawn's YouTube channel, or they may follow him and say, man, I want to do what he do. Or they may look at Ben and what he does and say, I want to do what he do on YouTube. You never know. So with that being said, if somebody is considering doing something with video and photography, is the camera you have truly the best camera to use? So, Ben,
yes.
Heads or tails?
Oh no. Oh, coin toss.
Thank you.
Coin-
Boy,
Heads or
I was gonna
tails?
say,
No. Oh, okay. Tails.
All right. Shawn, you get to go first.
oh, got him. All right, listen. I'm definitely gonna go with the camera you have is the best camera to shoot with. Yes, give me that argument, please.
All right. You got 1.5 minutes. Go.
All right, so the camera that you have is going to be the camera that teaches you and helps you graduate to the camera that you're going to want at some particular point. Because at the end of the day, just like, what I'm saying, when the judges says, you still got people out here with certain lenses, certain cameras who still don't know how to make their stuff look good. Composition is what makes you a photographer or a videographer. It does not matter about what camera you have. There are movies that are shot on Black Pocket Magic cinema cameras. There are movies that are shot on A7S2s, like The Possession of Hannah Grace, a Kendrick Lamar video. There was a scene shot on The Wolf of Wall Street. And these cameras are not cinema cameras. These are not cameras they went to sit there and spend $60,000, $70,000 on. These are cameras that they just had, and it was cheap and it was affordable. So if all you have in your pocket is a cell phone, okay, granted, you can still make it work with a cell phone. You can still do 4K 60, and you also have grid lines on your phone to teach you to do composition with the rule of thirds. If you did not have this, on your cell phone, if you didn't learn composition, you get a new camera, you're gonna have no idea what I'm talking about. So the better you learn the camera that you own, the better you're gonna be with newer cameras. There's no point in sitting there spending all this money on the camera, but you just to be garbage with it. Work with the camera you have, and you'll become a better photographer and videographer with practice.
All right. Ben.
The best camera is not the one
Hold
that
on,
you
Ben.
have.
Hold on, Ben. I ain't
Okay.
started the timer yet.
Oh, cool. Sorry, my bad.
I gotta hype you up, Ben. This for all the marbles, dog. This for all the marbles, Ben.
Mhm.
They say you can make anything sound good. Can you make this sound good, Ben?
Yep.
Let's see what the champ does with this. Go.
The best camera is not the one that you have, but it's the one that you can actually afford to have. So affordability matters, man, and it can scale, right? Used market is very, very good. You could have 50 all the way to 250 pounds or dollars. You can get a good dedicated camera. Let's just say you're using your smartphone, right? You could be using your smartphone and you could be getting a lot of notifications, a lot of interruptions, a lot of phone calls that could actually break your flow when you're trying to create. When it comes to creating, you always want to have something that is dedicated for it. Even if it's not a specialist product, right? It could mean it's the camera that you can afford to buy now. So the advice is it's actually not the best that you have right now. It's actually the best that you can afford. So it's dedicated. We all know that when it comes to creating, you want to make sure that it's easier to set things up as you go. So if you have something that's dedicated for it, it could be a cheap point and shoot with a 1/8 sensor. It could be an old DSLR like a OT2i Rebel that you got for $100, £100 with a cheap kit lens. You know that's your dedicated creative tool, right? You don't want to mix and match. And actually having that as your dedicated creative tool, you can actually learn from it better because it's actually set aside to learn that thing. It's like having a specialist or a specific book for a specific subject, right? It's that same mindset. So actually, it's not the one that you have, it's the one that you can afford to have. So if you can, that's the best way.
All right, so y'all got your 3 minutes. So let's go.
Here's where you messed up, Ben. Two things. Number one, you kind of like you treading on thin ice with this whole the best camera you can have, the best camera you can afford, because really that's still saying the camera that you have on you, if that's the one you can afford, then that's the best one for you. That's number one. Number two, You said that you're gonna be sitting here getting notifications on your cell phone because it's not a dedicated video camera. Fam, just put your phone on do not disturb. That's a easy
You can be,
fix.
but if you have an emergency, you can't afford to actually put that on do not disturb. It's not necessarily about it being a smartphone. Even if the case in point is, even if it means that you have to buy another cheap smartphone that is dedicated for your content creation that you know it's set aside for, right? That you can learn
Why would
from.
I buy another smartphone when I could have done my phone and do not disturb? That's again, like if the camera that I have, obviously is the camera that I can afford. It didn't sit there and say, question I paid. Go buy another camera that you can afford. The question is that whatever camera that you currently own, can that camera work? And the question is yes. It's not saying go buy another camera. So you think that yes, it can, right?
For your content creation is the best way to go for when it comes to learning and having efficiency, even if it means it's £50, $50, all the way up to something like 1,000.
So what sense does that make? You want to sit there and go buy a camera that's $50, right? Yeah. Your cell phone is 9 times out of 10 better than that $50 camera, but because you can afford it, it's okay. That makes no sense, bro. That's you're wrong on that one, bro. You like, listen, this you on the sketch pad right now, my boy. You just like
it's different. No. That's not making sense. It doesn't. No one would ever buy a supercar, for example. No one would ever buy a $1,000 smartphone if we're talking about sense. It's just not about. We didn't talk about sense.
The question is the camera that you have is the camera that's best for you at that moment. So the best. 9 times out of 10, you have a smartphone in your pocket. Why buy another camera? That's not the question.
Hence why people get multiple cameras, one camera that's dedicated for B-roll, one camera that's dedicated for A-roll, because it's all about...
That's your camera, though. We talk about the one camera that you have. Is that one camera enough? That one camera can do A-roll. That one camera can teach you composition. That one camera going to teach you storytelling, sequence, shot list. That one camera that you already own is the camera for you. Not the camera that you got to go borrow some money from because you get paid.
Another camera that dedicated...
Right? You're not answering the question.
Smartphone, whether it's cheap DSLR, whether it's a brand new, it's not about sense.
So the camera they have, then you tell me. So the camera they have, then is not the right one.
That's why people that still start up their YouTube channels and end up buying a $1,000 or £1,000 camera. It's not about sense. They know they can afford it, and it's.
But that was the camera they use. They used it to get them that $1,000. That was the best camera for the job to get them to elevate their level. They use their cell phones to create content to make them a better photographer, to make them a better videographer.
The camera that they could afford.
All right. Well. For all the marbles, Adrienne, who you got?
So first, I would just like to say thank you for allowing me to push this into an overtime. And I would like to go back and say that the winner of the last round for me would have been Shawn, which would have been a TKO. So hopefully he don't lose this. But on this round, I am going with Shawn. Shawn, if you lose this by some reason, I'm so sorry because I put you into the overtime.
Thank you. Okay.
T, who you got?
Gotta go with Shawn, man. It's what you have, man. I mean, it's just, it was argued tremendously on both sides, but Ben, you fought and clawed your way to try to make it sound the best you could, but I still got to go with Shawn. I feel like it was really not a true clear directive to get yourself out of that one, man. But I got to go with Shawn on that one.
I actually like Ben's argument. All right. Dobo, who you got?
I mean, I really like how Ben says things. I mean, like super fancy, but I mean, I'm gonna miss hearing you say like aperture and shutter, Ben. It's been real, bro. But Shawn
got him.
Sorry, bro.
Woo.
All right.
The power of the Black Panther has been stripped away from you.
Has been stripped away.
All right. Well, as we always do when a loser is announced, the champ has been dethroned. So that means that I have to bring in the tech preacher. So I'm going to step out and let Eric come in and do his thing.
What is the highlight right here, boy? There you go.
Ben. Paul bearers.
Members of the congregation, we here for another funeral. The champ has been dethroned. I love this camera battle because I changed from using smartphones to DSLRs. And I went all out and I went got DSLRs. And I'm going to tell you, nothing beats a DSLR. This is your baby, no matter what. But Ben, you said some great points, but unfortunately, it wasn't good enough. Shout out to Shawn, be nice. He came on and dethroned you. Now, a lot of y'all guys made some good points, but at the end of the day, it's time to put you in the casket. So welcome, Paul Bearers. Let's say our last goodbyes to Ben. Love of Tech. Man, this was a close one. I watched this through and through. To me, it came down to the last two.
Wow.
Hey, Ben ain't even making it to the casting yet.
Too extra.
Oh shit! Oh my God!
Bruh,
That was a good battle.
I like both of the arguments. Ben was making a lot of I thought Shawn was going down, man. Like the last two rounds, I was like, ooh. But Shawn came back, and that last one, the overtime round, yeah, that was it. Because look, here's the thing. I used to shoot a lot of my videos with LG phones because of manual mode. Manual mode, that argument about manual mode, I'm gonna tell you something. I always use manual mode. I dog phones out, especially when Samsung got rid of manual mode, because I always use manual mode. And when they took away manual mode, that hurt. Especially for professional videographers that want to use a smartphone on the gimbal with manual mode. That is the only, you cannot call your phone a professional camera if you don't have manual mode. Look, I decipher a lot of people that talk about how you can shoot this and shoot that. You know when you're shooting on a smartphone without manual mode because you see the ISO changing. You see the aperture changing. You see a whole lot of stuff changing, flickering, and a matter of fact, I shot a video showing off how bad a smartphone is in auto mode when you lose focus. Focus is really bad in smartphone when you're trying to capture a
Travis
video. So manual mode is definitely good. You know, I mean, DSLR is definitely the goal as far as recording. If you're in a YouTuber, it's always a way to
Adrienne?
DSLR.
I thought the funeral was over. I thought we was going to eat.
Oh
No. It's let me bring T back here real quick so we can see what the judges got to say about the fight real quick. I'll bring you back in later on. I'll bring you back in later on.
Can we have a review of the round?
And the loser should be in the casket, but Shawn want to kick me the hell out the damn screen.
I know,
right? I was like,
nah, I had to look.
I couldn't breathe.
Down. I have a
All right,
typo
so
she didn't pre-made it somewhere.
Look, El Jefe said what time is fish fry.
Can we get a review of the rounds?
That's what I wanted to do. So for round one, I done messed around and deleted the banners as I was going, so I wouldn't ask the same question again. So, guys, just I'm gonna start with T since T looked at the camera.
Nigga kicked me out. Well, I about to log on. I'm like, man, I'm out of y'all, man.
Nah. I'm right.
Man.
T, what led you to make some of the decisions that you made tonight?
Man, I done forgot. I done said the reasons after the fight was over. I forget. It's hard for me to keep up the reason why. It's only a few of them. I'd be like, all right, I kind of remember why. But what was the first question? The first question was, what was it again?
It ain't even up in them. I deleted them. I was deleting them as I was going. So
yeah. Nah, I can't. Sometimes I can't remember. Once I say my thought, I gotta go into the next round because it's hard to damn listen and remember what the hell is going around each round. It's just too hard for me. Maybe I got short memory loss, but
I'm gonna show you guys the other two questions that we had, just in case there were some more knockouts. For smartphone photography, is night mode truly a necessity for the small demographic that feels like night mode is a necessity? But you guys kept talking about night mode so much, I was like, I'm not gonna bring this in because y'all done already answered the question way too many times, so I didn't want to bring that in. And then the other one I thought of was how important is it for a creator to know color grading?
Ooh, Ben. Ben. Boy, you better thank sweet Mary Jesus Medea's mother. You ain't get that question, boy.
Let me ask you a question. So, are you? Do you like Micro Four Thirds, or you really don't mess with it?
No. I for me, I'm a crop sensor guy, but I just like APS-C because I think it's best of both worlds. Micro Four Thirds, I root for it because it has its place. It has its place. It fully has its place.
Because the question that I wanted to do was, is Micro Four Thirds truly a step below the rest of the crop sensors?
No,
because I know how Shawn
I did that for free. I did that one. I want to have that.
What I mean? I would that I first want to do, but I figured it would go over the chat's head because
it wouldn't. It wouldn't. I would have actually gone positive because Shawn knows how much I talk about autofocus, right? But actually, I went on the side and said, no, it's not important. So I used sometimes I want to throw out there. That's the question. First question, I was like, I want a Micro Four Thirds question because I know Shawn should. Excellent.
I mean,
don't even seem like it's lacking. You know what I mean?
Hey, I'm just gonna throw this out there real quick. Everybody call me Don King, so I wouldn't be Don King if I didn't throw this out there.
Yeah.
We got 30 minutes left on the stream. I mean, Shawn, if you want to double or nothing for your title, I can.
No. I'm not
going. I'm about to say, you know what I'm saying? We can do this.
No. Give it. No.
Listen, I will give a free debate. If you guys want to talk about camera and stuff, I'm still game because I would love to go to that question that T was saying. Because my argument would be for Ben, like I know he says the best of both worlds, but it's like, if you can say that APS-C is the best of both worlds, and they got like on Fuji as a 1.5 times crop, but Micro Four Thirds is 2 times crop, you're really telling me like that 0.5 crop is really that much of a substantial difference to make it be like the best of both worlds? I feel like APS-C and Micro Four Thirds are like, what's up, cuzzo? You know what I'm saying? Like, we there.
No, the reason why I say that is that it meets in the middle. It meets in the middle. Well, so if you look at all the top films that have ever been shot, all the best cameras in terms of cinema wise have all been Super 35 APS-C. You see, so it's a good middle ground, right? And remember,
all of them,
pretty much all the top films are all shot on Super 35 cinema cameras, right? If you actually look,
I will give you that. Yeah, Super 35, that's fine. I was gonna make an argument that some was shot on. But for most, yes. Okay.
For most, if you look, it's only recently that the large, as in the cinema camera world, it's known as large format, but it's really full frame, right? It's only very recently that the large format, full frame sensor cameras have really started going into the video side of things, right? Actually, it's been Super 35 APS-C for years, for many years. So it's not. Remember, the MFT Alliance came from Olympus and Lumix, right? That's where it started, but it's still fairly a young system. It's developed, but it's the youngest out of all the systems, right? So I don't have anything against it, but the advantages of having that smaller system is what gave the GH5 such a lead in features. Bro, the GH5 came out 2017 January, and the feature sets it has, it's only now that Fuji have been able to match or beat it in certain areas. It's taken almost 4 years, right, to catch up to that feature set or beat it. That's the advantage. But yet you've got full frame cameras like the EOS R that still crops 1.8 times just to shoot basic 4K video.
And see, that's my thing right there, Ben. You know what I'm saying? Like even the full frame cameras that's out now, most of them in most cases are shooting the crop anyway.
Thank you.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like if you got a crop sensor, it's not like you that much more. Let's you know what I'm saying, worse off than somebody got a full frame. Because 9 times out of 10, they shoot in a crop way anyway, especially if they doing 4K 60. That crop is ridiculous.
And is it even doing 4K 60? Name me a full frame camera that does 4K 60.
S1, S1R, S1H.
Not full frame sensor readout. It's 1.5.
No, it is a crop. Yeah, it is a crop.
And this is my point. It's not. Remember, we talked about it's not crop sensors. It's additional crops that I have the biggest problem.
Yeah, I can respect that. Yeah. I can respect that.
If the camera body is making you choose your framing dramatically, right? Some crops are acceptable. 1.1 times, 1.2 times, 1.18 times. Times it's a bit more manageable. You won't notice that much of a framing difference. But you're telling me no matter if it's micro four thirds, APS-C, or full frame, or even medium format, if you're cropping at 1.5 times and more, to me that's a write-off. That's unworkable. That means it makes you compromise on the lens that you want to use. You have to then think about the lens that you want to use. What if it's your favorite lens that gives you a particular look? That means you have to then go to a lower quality.
Yep.
Shouldn't have to. I don't think that makes any sense. You see, so this is where for me, I make the argument of I like APS-C because there's less of a compromise with any additional crops, but good lenses compensate enough to give you the full frame look without needing any speed boosters. That's my argument. That's why I like APS-C. Whereas micro four thirds, you will get the focal length look, but you will never really get the option of getting that actual aperture or depth of field look. You will never really get it.
Yeah. Now I won't argue that at all. You're right. You know what I'm saying? Even you know what I'm saying. Even if framing to a certain extent, you won't get it there. But I will argue that in most cases, the depth of field that is, like for example, on the Sigma 16 mil, that background separation is still like,
oh no, bro.
You feel what I'm saying? Like it can still bang. So see, here's my thing, bro. To kind of like to make sure we drive that point home. It's like it really don't like at this day and age, bro. All these cameras are bang, whether it's a micro four third, APS-C, full frame. One definitely does have advantage over the other, but the same thing can be said. Like for me, I like micro four thirds, specifically GH5, because one is powerful, but I travel a lot for work. I don't really want, like, you know what I'm saying, like a Panasonic S1H just weighing me down, bro. And these lenses, and especially with me using a Weeble S, nah, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want that camera, don't get me wrong, but it's like the GH5 is so perfect. It's so clutch. The in-body stabilization. Oh, man.
Hey, I got a question from the chat here. I'm going to throw it up there for you guys.
Yeah.
Should DSLR/mirrorless have AI?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely say yeah. With computational learning, the way it's going right now, for sure. For sure.
There's no excuse. These are the things that the R5 is bringing to the table that's on point. It's using AI to prove the animal autofocus that's in there. Like, come on, man. At this price, you've got to hold these companies accountable to put the R&D in to make these things happen, right? Whether it's better connectivity, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. When you take a picture, you can upload it straight to Wi-Fi. All these things are important. Bro, it's important. Like, if it's AI to detect animal and eye properly or whatever, AI in general, they're charging for these products, man. They've got to put the research and development in there. It's a must.
Yeah, because at some point with AI, you know what I'm saying, I feel like your lenses are going to be able to do much more, even with the sensors too, like with them talking to each other, being able to, like, what if you're able to kind of like give voice commands at some point? You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be crazy. AI can definitely be introduced into the sensors for sure.
Yeah. Here we got one here. It says, as the best camera is the one in your pocket, what cell phones do you guys use as your daily driver?
That's why I was holding on my Note 9. I use my Note 9 is still banging with your boy.
I use a OnePlus 7T.
Adrienne's holding up her iPhone.
Max, I'm sure Dobo's an iPhone user too. Under that for a fact. So it's T. And oh my god.
I mean, I got this one too, but I ain't gonna hold that one up.
But I can rock Piccolo.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I was going to say I try to keep one of each.
I try to keep an Android and keep a iPhone.
Trenton, Mr. Tech Rant wants to know Sony versus Panasonic. Which one would you choose?
Ooh,
Panasonic system, man.
I will be real with you, Trent. Even as a Panasonic owner, I love my camera, but I will go Sony.
Right.
I will go Sony.
Why
I'm gonna tell
would
you why.
Yeah.
Because Sony is the only lens. The E mount is the only section or lens selection that you can get put on an APS-C camera, a full frame camera, and a cinema camera. So no matter what camera you buy, you are pretty much, you know what I'm saying, covering you are future proofing the heck out of yourself for any camera that you want within that Sony line.
I think that's why I made that point that does a lens make a camera? And this is what I mean about for the longest time, this is why Canon got away with so much because their lens ecosystem it's still so good, right? That people put up with the fact that they were dragging their feet when it came to camera body innovation. Canon, like when I say Canon drag their feet, we all know Canon drag.
Who got that background noise?
Sorry, babe. Can you mute that? I'm about to get out. Just turn it down a little bit.
Because they dragged because they knew that our lenses make our camera system, right? Our EF lenses work just not on our DSLRs, but they work on all our cinema cameras. You know, so that's why I make that point, man. And I agree with the E-mount. The E-mount is probably the least fragmented lens mount system. And Canon right now, for example, their lens mount is very fragmented. So you've got EFM, which is for their mirrorless APS-C line. You've got the RF, then you've got EFS, and you've got EF. With the 4 lens mounts, based on what you're doing, it's not very cohesive. It's not very progressive. Like an APS-C mirrorless EFM camera from Canon, and you wanted to move up to full frame, you're gonna have to sell everything. You can't just pick up and move. So even within Canon, they've fragmented their lens ecosystem versus Canon versus Sony. So, and Lumix as well. The problem is Micro Four Thirds, you can't move up to their full frame S series.
I cannot. But I will say this though, again, too, for in most situations, man, when it comes to buying gear or even like upgrading, I will say this: in most situations, the camera that you have is usually like more than enough. Like I have a GH5 and a Lumix G7. And there has never been a time when a client was like, hey, yo, don't come to me if you ain't got a full frame camera. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's at the end of the day, man, it's really about composition. Like, I feel like that's what's going to make or break any camera. As much as I love Sony and Panasonic, you know what I'm saying? Even if I had either camera, I could bang with either one. No matter what camera I put You feel what I'm saying? I'm going to get busy.
But Sony definitely. I would say go with Sony. Yeah.
All right. Well, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. And I want to say thank you to everybody that super chatted tonight. Thank you to everybody for joining as well. LB, thank you for the super chat. Travis MCP, thank you for the super chat. Everyday Dad, El Jefe Reviews, Mikey Tech Review, Tech Preacher himself. Appreciate everybody for the super chats. If I missed you, I do apologize. I want to just say thank you to everybody who took the time to super chat. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and I appreciate it. I really do. To the debaters, man, Shawn Be Nice, the new champ. Ben, I know you in the future and everything, and I that's why I ain't gonna hold you too long because I know it's in the wee hours of the morning over there.
I've got time.
No, you got time.
I want my rematch. You guys know I want my rematch.
Well, you want your rematch, and somebody else wants a match against Shawn. I'm not going to say it just yet. We'll put it out there on Twitter, but somebody else wants a rematch against Shawn as well. So we're gonna have that come out pretty soon here. So that should be a nice one. But I will throw this out there: the next Saturday Night Tech Fight that we're going to have is going to be based around branding and business. So if you're a YouTube content creator or if you are just a social influencer, whatever title you want to give yourself, the next tech fight that we're going to have.
Stop leaning into the camera. Do yourself a favor. Move back, then move back.
Look, Ben is taking over T-Spot. T the one that be doing like this.
Let me get this good screenshot real quick.
But like I said, the next one is going to be all about business and branding. You know, it's a lot of us that have YouTube channels, a lot of people that have social media followings, and the next tech fight is going to be based around how to improve or possibly how to get started if you want to learn how to get into this game and get into it. So obviously, Shawn Be Nice of Brooks Media. I'd like to invite you back as a judge for that one if you'd be interested.
Love it. Love it.
All right. So also to the judges, Mr. Dobo, thank you for coming on for the first time. I appreciate it, sir.
Much blessed.
Let's see. I got another super chat here. $2.71 from Savage Scientist. Thank you, sir, for the $2.71. Savage, you are always appreciated. T,
Yo,
thank you for coming as usual.
yes, sir.
Did you get what you wanted with the question?
Yeah, man, that was good, man. This was a good one. This is probably one of the best ones out, man.
I feel like this
was
is
the hardest to judge by far because it could have really each round could have went either way for real.
We lived.
I feel like
It was just a few little tweaks here and there that somebody said something or didn't go with the question the way it was worded. It was tough, man. It was tough.
I feel like this is the camera battle we all wanted since Jay Will switched to Team Sony.
That's the reason that's the reason there won't be a battle because I've already won. You can't do Sony versus Canon when you just sell all of your Canon and go to Sony.
You got a valid point, B. It's over. It's not the fight.
Who won? I'm just being real. Who won? Who won that fight? So we can never fight because that's the first thing I'm gonna say in the fight. You sold your Canon to go get everything Sony. You just proved my point. Fight over.
Hey, I start arguing right there too. I'm done. That's my time.
Well, and always, Adrienne, we appreciate you and your
Adrienne.
Adrienne comes in and
Thanks
just
for having me.
As always.
So again, thank you to everybody in the chat for being here as well. Make sure you don't miss the next battle royale. It's a lot of people. I keep saying this, and I'm gonna say it one more time before I leave. A lot of people in the chat that got a lot to say. The next time I put a battle royale on and I throw out $100 gift card, come on with that same energy.
It's
so
many chatty patties in the chat. But then when
it's
that
only
comes, where everybody at?
It's only a few people in the chat that have the right to talk because they've stepped up to the plate and they've actually tried to get in the ring and do something about it. So,
and if you didn't learn anything from today, let me make my PSA one more time. For those of you who have those expensive lenses, check your video quality. Something is not right because your stuff looks shitty. I'm not going to say that again.
That's real.
And there it is. So, folks, with that being said, we appreciate you guys for coming out tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, wash your damn hands, practice your social distancing. Don't forget to wash your ass, too.
Oh.